Here guys, I was gonna make a full video on this, but I figured this isn't that deep of a subject, so it doesn't really need its own. I'm just gonna lay it out to you real quick, how you can get something like this going. What you're seeing is a triplanar mapped environment, so you can just model all the crap you want. You don't have to unwrap anything, taking away a lot of the work and making the process a lot more fun and quicker. So what I did here is, oh, and don't look at that, look at this. So in your master material, I'm gonna paste some code that you can copy into a material function. So just make a material function, paste this in there, and you'll be good to go. And you can use this as your UV instead of your text coordinate. You could just put this in there. So it's just a simple RGB and then some if-ands and an ABS. I don't know what ABS means, I just know you need it so that you can mask the red, green, and blue from your vertex normals, and you want to mask your world position. Really you could just copy paste this and you'll be good to go, but it does help to understand how it works. So if you want to modify it or blend these together, you've probably seen on landscape materials something similar to this, but they have like the edges blended in and out. Anyway, so what you want to do is use this anywhere you're going to have like a text coordinate. This way you don't have to UV unwrap anything, and your textures will all be the same size and they'll all be a similar scale and they'll fit in your environment. And the best part is you don't have to worry about like stretching or anything like that. Like there's no unwrapping to be done here, so everything should just look really good. And I mean, you know, it's not perfect for everything, but it saves me a lot of time. So over here in Blender, say if I was to model something like, you know, drag this out, make it longer, whatever, you know, that could cause some issues. You'll have some texture stretching on the side. And what this means is you don't have to worry about, you know, unwrapping. You don't have to do this anymore. You don't have to play with the UV editor or anything like that. And it's good for simple stuff like this. Part of this video, I'm going to show you how you can make these boolean objects that keep their materials. I know that if you ever used a boolean in Blender and like brought it into Unreal, the material assigned to where you boolean sometimes might be like the floor, or it might be a different material you didn't intend. So here's how you can fix that. I mean, this is it ain't really a fix, it's just the intended way, but here's how I do that. So if I were to make a window, let me make a cube over here. I'm just going to make a quick one real quick. So usually when I make windows, I like to just squash a cube, you know, pretty easy. And then from there, I like to apply my scale and then go in here and use the inset. And there you go, you got a window. You know, you can extrude. If you want it to be symmetrical, they have this really cool tool called extrude along normals. What that does is if you x-ray it, you can see exactly how far you're extruding it for. And if you want to make windows quicker when you're doing the materials, I like to add a new material and then just call this window or something. And then when you hit plus to make your glass, just go back in edit mode because you already extruded it, so you already got the glass selected. You can just assign that, and then you're good to go. And then I can call this glass, you know. And then for the boolean, the way that I make these, I mean, there's different ways to do this. This is just the fastest for me. Is I like to select the four corners, and if you're using methods like this, you should have clean enough geometry. You could just alt-click the edge, and then you can duplicate that guy. So if I duplicate it, and then I hit F, you know, it'll fill it, and then you can hit P to separate, and then edit mode on that guy, and then just extrude it directly through the object. And then I like to assign a shortcut to your import display to wire, so I can do this really quick. If you go in here, set this guy to a shortcut. The display as, you just right click and add a shortcut. That way when you make booleans, it's a lot faster than say using something like bool tools. I don't like bool tools just because it clutters up my UI and it's not that intuitive for me. So when you're all done with that, all you gotta do is select your window and select the object, or vice versa. You could do it backwards if you need to. You know, parent it. That's what I do. So when I move this guy, it moves with it. And then I can just snap my view to wherever I need it. So I need a window over here. And then if I snap my view like that, you can see, that fits pretty good, but maybe, you know, push it in a little bit. And that Boolean object is going to be the whole, how do you say, the whole box. So if I select my environment, I can go up here and add a bool. There you go. Go to the end here, drag this to the top, and then select my new object, which is this, fast. And then if it doesn't look right, you know, it depends what you got where. My solidify should go above the booleans. And there you go. Now I got this window I can put wherever I want. Because of the tri-planar, I don't have to unwrap any of this. It'll just all be clean geometry. So I could take this, and then export them to the engine. And here's the fun part. When you import a new object, all you have to do is import it, and that's it. You don't have to reassign this, remove it, whatever. Just zero it out, and it'll be exactly where you picked it. So I'm going to go in here real quick just to give you an example of this. Assign some glass. Clean glass. That's the one I like. And then for this, I can go with, you know, steel or something. Say brushed metal. So I got my window over here, and I'm not too happy with it. You can see there's some issues. The main issue being, this is not the material I wanted on it. You know, that's the floor material. But when you look at it, it's only got the same materials I had assigned. So how you're supposed to do it in Blender, which I didn't understand at first, and I have never seen this in a tutorial anywhere. Which I had to look at like documentation to find this. So what you're supposed to do is assign a material in your cutter object. So here's my cutter. So if I delete all of its materials, I could just make a new one and call this window to inside, because, you know, whatever. That's my second window. I'm gonna call it that, and then add that same material to the object you're cutting in. So whatever object you're cutting in, you want that material to be there. Make an empty material slot. Don't assign it to anything, and then just assign that same material to your cutter object. And now when you send it over, if I hit export over in the engine, you'll see that'll update. You know, it's saying, oh, there's a new thing here, so there you go. And now I can just go in here, select whatever I want. I'm just going to copy this. Oh, cancel. Why did I do that? Okay, let me go like that. So let me just grab one of my mats. I want, you know, let's just put the wood floor back on there. But there you go. You can see it's working. You know, you don't have to worry about it. I mean, you can swap this out with whatever you want. And because of the tri-planar, it all lines up symmetrically. There's no disparaging between the texel density over here and over here. It's going to line up good. The reason you're getting the stretching is because these are not using tri-planar. This is one of the default engine materials. So you'll notice that stretching issue that I'm having is caused by the UV map being stretched out, because I did extrude the cube and all that shit. So if I swap that out with something else, say like this, there you go. You can see there's no stretching, and it's perfect. So that's why I use tri-planar. Now to fix this guy, the inside of your windows, you're going to notice whenever you make windows like this in Boolean, you don't see this issue in Blender, because Blender render space is double-sided, but in Unreal it's a game engine, so it's, unless you say double-sided, it's going to be like this. What you could do is I like to isolate the object I'm working on, so like in this case, this guy, right? So if you just want to fix that up real quick, all you got to do is go into your edge select, and then find the edges that need to be filled in. So like in my case, it's this guy and this guy over here. So you can see if I alt click, it might select all the way around it, and it might not. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But because this is on the inside like that, you can see these lines don't quite meet, so it's not going to select it in a rim. which is kind of lame. But what you can do is you can select the bottom, and then if you hold Control, Blender is smart enough to select a path around it. So if you hold Control and just kind of ring select that way, I know it's kind of slow to do it that way, but you know, that's one way to do it. So I could just go in here and hit Shift Control and then select this guy. And there you go. Now I have the full thing. And if you fill it, it'll work. But the problem is filling it that way. If I send this guy to the game engine, because this is a glass material, it might not look the best, and these might be flipped. So you can see they look fine from this end, but they don't look fine from that end. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. If you can't access this guy, it's up here, face orientation. And then if I look around my object, you're not really going to see any issues, so you need to hide some of these faces. So I could see, oh, well, these guys are clearly inside out. So if I go in here and I select this guy and this guy, you know, you can see, oh, well, that's not very good. So what I'm going to do is just bridge these guys and then go to the bottom, because it's on the bottom and top, not really on the sides, I don't think. Let me check. If it is on the sides, just fill those. But anywhere that you're seeing these empty spaces, just fill them, and then you'll be good to go. I know this is a tedious process, but hell, at least you don't have to unwrap anything after you're done. So it could be worse, you know, could be a lot worse. And then if you can't fill in a space like this, you might just need to flip it, and then you're good to go. And now when I send this guy to the game engine, I shouldn't have any more gaps. And also with the inside part, I like to, because it just looks flat and kind of weird if you do that, I like to extrude it. Let me shoot that flat. Oh yeah, if you get this plane issue, you can see that there's like this slash going on. This is caused by overlapping geometry. So if I go look at it from the side, you're not really going to see it here. Again, there's a lot of issues you're not going to see in Blender, but you will see in the game. What I like to do is just go in, again, if I'm not sure of something, just go into my face orientation and then check it out there. And if it looks fine there, it's usually good to go. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it is. You know, sometimes it could be due to triangulation. That could cause some issues. So like, if I look at it from here, that doesn't look very good. But if I were to go into its modifiers and then add a triangulate, which I think should be located over here, and then I just use the default beauty minimum verts 4. Sometimes it's good to turn that shit up to 8, and then export that. That should get rid of it. There you go. And I know it's kind of dumb because, you know, it's a game engine. There's only so much it could do. So you don't need to triangulate everything, because it triangulates on import. Everything you import to Unreal is going to be triangulated, whether you want to or not. But this, sometimes like situations like this, you need to take the extra step and triangulate it before it goes in. But you don't have to do this step over and over. You just put the modifier on and you're good to go. Now for the object itself, when you're moving this guy around, what I like to do is I like to have this guy, say, a little bit inside, you know, a little bit outside, whatever. I mean, I want it to look good from the inside mainly, so that's my focus. But there you go. It's that easy. And when you set up materials with triplanar like that, you don't have to worry about UV mapping. So like, say if I made a cube, let me just make a cube, hide everything else, scale it down, drag it up, whatever, and export this to the game engine, and I'll bring it in to show you what that looks like. So whenever you're importing stuff to Unreal, and you say you want to you want a visualization of this because you're not sold on the whole triplanar thing, here's what I mean by it eliminates the need for unwrapping. Now this doesn't work with human characters. Human characters are different. Clothing materials are going to be different. You can't triplanar everything, but you can triplanar environments. So if I take, say, for example, a material that I had let me say, where did I put it? New one? Is that it? I didn't name any of these properly, so I'm at a loss. Let's just say the wood floor, right? So I'm just gonna take that guy and slap him on this cube, right? And then I'm gonna go in here and go into its master. Let's real quick make a switch so I can turn that off and on. Text chord, sure. And then do a switch parameter. Go, use try. And because this is using a very small unit of measurement, I'm also gonna have to do it for that. So if I said use try, that would be my false, that would be my true. And then this here, if I go with 1, I could duplicate him. And then say this is true, this is false. Put that in there. There we go. Get that big old save. And now, when I go into here, you're going to see that it's all smooth. Why is it smooth? That's because this guy is fucked up. What did I do? You know, I think I did this wrong. Hold on. Let me duplicate this guy. This guy, yeah. And then put that in there, and then this guy can go in there. This guy can go in here directly. Oh, no, that's fine actually. And then I could say this guy goes in. Yeah, I was just gonna multiply it. So say put this over here, and then this guy can go in there. I didn't know you couldn't use switches like that. I had just assumed, so my bad. But once I've done all that, then I can say take this guy, delete that, and then I got a true and a, oh no, that'd actually be false. That would be true. Yeah, that's weird that you can't just stick it in like that. Now it looks fine, so I don't understand why that's the case, but as you can see, it's okay. Worked out in the end. So it's back to using triplanar. I'm going to show you what happens when we switch this off. So if I go in here, use try, I'm going to turn that to 0. As you can see, everything looks mostly normal, scale changed a bit, and it looks mostly the same. But if I go in here and I start modeling, say, you know, do some wacky shit like maybe scale this in like that, and then, you know, extrude, scale Z, something like that, making like a little spaceship or something. You know, something like, say, whatever. I mean, it's very obvious I'm not making anything special here. It's just fucking show you guys what's going on. So, there you go. Now, when I send this back to the game engine, you're going to see it doesn't look so hot. It looks a little stretched out, a little fucked up. Sides look fine because I haven't changed them. Basically, everything that I did change gets all screwed up. So, this is why I like to use triplanar mapping, because when you use triplanar, you don't actually have to do any unwrapping unless it's like something specific, like a character model or, you know, a hero asset, like say like a sword, a weapon, clothing items, stuff that needs to be mapped specifically. But everything else just works good, and you could still use vertex colors for like the corners and the edges. So you want to mask, make like a metal edge where you could do all that. So there you go. That's that's about as long as I'm going to ramble on about this. But if you just want to be able to make environments super quick, super easy, and not have to worry about anything extra other than just modeling, this is how you do it.